Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I pulled up a mock draft from the 33rd team. Check out their website. And I'm going to be doing like a tiered ranking list from the landing spots of that draft. Before that, we're going to go over their mock draft. We're going to go over the prime players that were drafted in rookie drafts, the quarterbacks, the running backs, the tight ends, the wide receivers off there. And then we'll do our rankings. But the idea here is to look at the landing spots, is to look at the draft capital, and just try to get a good formulation from there. This is just the first round, so we are going to miss the second round here. So the running backs, that'll get jolted up in the first round and all that stuff. So there is some ambiguity here. But the fact that we're getting landing spots and first round draft capital and just something pegged to these players, just giving us a little bit extra look at from these players. And I'm going to be doing some mock drafts like this in the near future from other sites just to look at, just to get something pegged to these players so we can get more context added to the value of these players for us to look at. But let's start looking at this mock draft first so we can get an idea of what we're looking at here and the context of the flow of the draft. So if you haven't been to this website before, it's called the 33rd Team. They came out earlier this year, a newer site, and they got a lot of good stuff. They got a lot of good fantasy football content. They got draft content, and it's building pretty nice. I recommend it. Take a look at it. We'll cover other sites as well, but let's look at the draft here at the 101. First player off the board. We've talked about this in a lot of drafts here, but Bryce Young, first quarterback coming off here, and you know what? I could see it happening in weird landing spot because you got some weapons, but you're still retooling in Houston, and you're going to get that with the first quarterback in a lot of drafts. Bryce Young's going to get the liberty to do that, but the draft capital should give him a long leash. Moving on the draft, it's going to be a little bit before we see another skilled player come off the board, but we're going to get some defense, some line, and all that. But we're going to skip over that to the next player. Number 7, we got our second quarterback to the Colts, Will Levis. An interesting landing spot because this is a good spot for him. You're playing indoors. You got Jonathan Taylor. You got Michael Pittman there. You got some guys to throw the ball to. You made some investments in the wide receiver unit. You got Alec Pierce last year. Speed guy, stretches the field, gets you air yards. So this could be a good spot for him, for you guys to look at for rookie drafts and Superflex. He's got a strong arm. It's good draft capital. He's going to have a long leash once he gets his opportunity. So this is something to look into. So moving on down. Next quarterback off the board, CJ Stroud going to the Panthers. Interesting situation too. Christian McCaffrey's gone. We have DJ Moore still. Terrace Marshall, this team's retooling as well. They need to get some offensive weapons. So Stroud's going to really need to develop quickly in this offense. And I like to see what they build around them because they're going to be getting more players. The same with all the other quarterbacks as well because you don't draft a quarterback and not get wide receivers and stuff for them. But we have seen that before as well. Looking on down here, we got another juicy player to look at here, and that's Bijan Robinson going to the Falcons, the 101 in all rookie drafts, going top 10 here. It's been a while since we've had a top 10 running back, and the Falcons is a prime spot. It's a sneaky spot because he's going to get touches right away here, and he should be getting touches right away anywhere he goes. One thing I like about this spot is you got Kyle Pitts here, you got Drake London. Things are starting to trend up. You got to get your quarterback sometime. You got to get your quarterback eventually. But here at 10, this is a good piece here. Bijan Robinson is going to be fine wherever he goes. I'm still going to hold him at the 101. It does not matter. He could go to CFL. It'd still be the 101 in this class. It does not matter for me. Talent over situation. Even if it's murky year 1, year 2, you've seen these players that has been elevated to these proportions shine lately. And it's been a while since we had a player like this not shine. Quentin Johnston, first wide receiver off the board to the Green Bay Packers. I like this situation. The one thing about this, though, is they got a lot of pass catchers, but they're also retooling at the wide receiver position. They do like to run 3 wide receiver sets. They've been doing well with the rookies this year, but Quentin Johnston size adjusted speed for days. Pretty much wherever he goes, he's going to be a highlight reel. He's going to impact that team. And I'm interested to see him with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers does need a good first-round wide receiver, and I think he'd be a good fit here. I think he'd be a good fit damn near anywhere, really, because of just how he plays. You don't get that many wide receivers in the league who are bigger body, who has that size-adjusted athleticism, take top off defense, but yet you're so strong underneath to really bring it home. This could be a fantastic spot for him. Pretty much, if any wide receiver goes to the Packers, their draft value in Dynasty, regular fantasy, anywhere, goes up a bunch of points. And it gets highly regarded. Moving on, Jalen Hyatt to the Chargers. I saw this and really got me pontificating about him because if he goes first round and goes to a juicy situation, we have the big three here at the wide receiver spot with the top wide receivers, but does this bump him up there? Because you got Herbert throwing the ball. You know he's going to chuck it down deep. You know some of these wide receiver 3s and 4s on this team can be fantasy relevant at times, off and on, and you know Jalen Hyatt's going to be in that situation here. That gets you excited. And then looking down here, we have Anthony Richardson at 17 going to Seattle. You're getting paired with DK Metcalf. You got a young running back there. You got some pieces. That's the thing about being the latter quarterback in the first round. Usually when you're the later quarterback, you're not the best. Obviously, the best goes like the 101, 102-ish. But you know what? You might be going to a team with some pieces. And Seattle's got some stuff here. And they're getting older at wide receiver with Tyler Lockett and stuff. So they might be making more investments in the near future, which you should be if you're spending a first-round pick on a quarterback. Moving on down here, at 19, Tampa Bay selects Jackson Smith-Njigba. Interesting spot because you're good at wide receiver, but you are getting older there as well. You got Tom Brady. Tom Brady would love to have as many weapons as possible if he's still there. And that's the thing, is if he's still there and how long he'll be there. But Njigba playing the slot, being the big slot guy, would be an interesting position for him with Mike Evans if he's still there long term, stretching the field. You got Chris Godwin. Fantasy wise, for the short term value, it's going to sting him, but maybe long term, as he transitions into the role, this might be a good spot for him. It might be sneaky. And we're looking down here, we see Josh Downs going to the Tennessee Titans, being paired with Treylon Burks, and really they need to really add to that wide receiver core, that unit. I could see that is really good for real football. And eventually the passing game is going to get more volume. Derrick Henry's not going to be there for a million years, but he could be there longer than expected because he is a hoss. He is a big old hoss, and he could probably go for a bit, but you never know when these running backs start to slow down. When they do, it's quick. Josh Downs could help this team out a lot. Fantasy-wise, I can't see him usurping Treylon Burks ever, but I can see him being a very good compliment, and I can see him being a decent fantasy if the volume starts getting there. Coming on down here, looking for the next wide receiver, Jordan Addison to the New York Giants. One of the top wide receivers in this draft, probably the safest wide receiver. And to New York Giants, some people will see that as skeptical, but the one thing is you're seeing guys like Darius Slayton hit. You're seeing other guys like Richie James hit a little bit, get some targets. So a guy like Jordan Addison sliding into this offense, you can see him get some volume, get some production. Also, him and Wan'Dale Robinson would be an interesting core. You're very similar players, but a little bit different. Smaller wide receivers who can get downfield. But again, he can create separation. He has been consistent throughout his career, and he's had a big season during that sophomore year, that second year at Pitt, helping Kenny Pickett get drafted in the first round. All right, no Dolphins pick. Michael Mayer to the Broncos. This is the big head scratcher because they got Greg Dulcich, but paired with Russell Wilson, maybe they go 2 tight ends. Can he beat out Dulcich? Could that happen? That's a big question mark. Can that happen? How far are you drafting him, or where are you drafting him if he goes to a team that already has a young tight end? This one's a big head scratcher for me with the pick, and he's going at 25, so kind of like a luxury pick of what's left on the board. And that should be it. Jahmyr Gibbs to the Cowboys. Zeke's getting older. Tony Pollard contract situation coming up. Jahmyr Gibbs catches the ball out of the backfield. Got speed. Can also run between the tackles. Very interesting pick for the Cowboys. And with him going to Dallas, even if it's at 28, which is still a damn good spot for a running back, you could really see his draft value just rise and climb in Dynasty. And really, he's already up there, so I guess it won't go too far up there. Some people already got him in the top 5 in Dynasty running backs. Already saw that in some chats on Twitter. At 31, Zay Flowers to the Buffalo Bills, 31 overall. I think he's a sneaky pick, and I think this is a great situation for him. One thing, he's not too far away from his old college, so the transition from there to Buffalo wouldn't be too that bad for him. Another thing, you got Josh Allen throwing the ball. He's going to get targets. He's going to be in volume, which is a good thing to see. Gabe Davis better watch out. And I think that's it for this draft. So let's go ahead and rank these players, because you know what? We got to get some values going on for these guys. So we know where to draft them at. We know how to feel with these players where they should be. So let's get this started. First and foremost, Bijan Robinson gets a tier to himself, as he should. The 101 in all formats. Going to Atlanta, he can go anywhere. He can go to CFL, he can go to XFL. Still going to be the 101. The Atlanta landing spot isn't grandiose, isn't the sexiest, but you know what? You look at him playing, and you can tell that he could probably transition well with this team. This team's got some good pieces with Drake London and Kyle Pitts. Need to get the quarterback together, need to get this and that together. I understand, but adding him here and in this scenario, you're not dropping him down. It's just not happening. There's no situation in the league where it's bad enough to drop him down to 102. Even if he's behind a stud starter like Saquon or something, like you're still keeping him 101. The talent's so grand, I'm not moving him down. So this next tier gets very interesting. We're doing this as Superflex, mainly because it's the first round of a mock draft, and if you don't do that, things get really out of whack. But here we're looking at Bryce Young, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bryce Young and Jahmyr Gibbs, Will Levis, C.J. Stroud, and old Anthony Richardson, who got drafted at 17. Mainly because the quarterbacks hold Superflex value. And I'm having trouble ranking these guys because I want to have Richardson here in the back. But you know, you got DK Metcalf, you got a running back here, you got some rushing ability. C.J. Stroud's in a weird spot because he was declared the bona fide 102 going into the draft season right now. But if you go to a situation where that you're transitioning so much, I mean, DJ Moore's your top receiver here. You don't have Christian McCaffrey anymore, so you got to retool at running back. What's going to happen here? Then you got Will Levis. A lot of people don't like him, and then you got some people who really love him. He's a deep ball guy, and the fact that he's going to the Colts, 7th pick overall, 2nd player in the draft, to say this is real, and he goes to this team with high draft capital like that, and you have Michael Pittman, you got Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor's going to help you move the chains. He's slinging deep balls. That might be enough for him to transition. That might be enough because you already got some pieces there. They're adding players. They're adding weapons. They've been doing it. Now they get their quarterback. Bryce Young, it's hard for me to move him away from QB1 since he was drafted as QB1, the 101 overall. From watching him play throughout the years, I've already had him as the QB1. I'm not surprised he is the 101 here, so I'm probably going to keep him there. I don't really love that he's with the Texans, but I'm kind of expecting it, so I don't hate it. There is some pieces there that can allow him to transition. Dameon Pierce did well this year. They got Nico Collins. They got some young wide receivers, and they can always add to that. They got some picks as well. So really, these quarterbacks, they got a lot of weaknesses to them as well. You can't just say all the sweet nothings. So I feel like you move these guys up for the value in Superflex, but there's going to be a lot of value at running back in this draft. I really love the running backs in this draft. Jahmyr Gibbs in the 2nd tier here, right here. He's going to Dallas, a first-round running back. You don't get that too often. And the fact that running back's a hard position to replace, the running back landscape is transitioning hard. And you're going to see this soon. We got a lot of older running backs who are going to be out of the fold soon. Whether you like it or not, or you want to believe it or not, that's going to happen. We also got some younger running backs where we know the transition process with this, that some of these young running backs, they just don't make it. They don't make it. Not all of them. I'm not saying which ones here. I'm really just freestyling on this topic, but we all know this. Not all the running backs hit. So there's going to be a transition. Some of these young guys are going to insert themselves in. So the value here for him is up there. Super flex wise, you usually see him go here in mock drafts. And that's usually how this usually goes. Bijan, Bryce Young, Stroud, Jameer. That's usually how this goes. In a draft like this, you may see it like that. You may see Levis jump up. I've heard some people in some podcasts say if Richardson goes to a juicy spot, they're moving him to QB2 or even QB1. This quarterback class is all over the place. I do have these guys in the same tier. And when I think about these quarterbacks, I kind of change my opinion with them a lot. And really, I don't really like them. I don't really like that the super flex value for quarterbacks is so high, but I understand. I play the game, I play the markets, but when it comes to player-to-player analysis, man, I love the running backs war in this class, and that's where I'm going towards, and that's just how it is. From the landscape perspective, you're probably better if you're not in love with the quarterbacks is to trade back, get some picks, shoot your shot on some running backs, and just diversify your portfolio. Moving on here, we got a trend here for Tier B. Quentin Johnston, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Jordan Addison. And here I just put the big three wide receivers, the top guys that everyone has in their ranks. And Quentin Johnston and Jackson Smith-Njigba is going to start their career with top-tier quarterback play. Jordan Addison's going to start his career in an offense that's kind of buzzing for ancillary jabroni wide receivers. So a guy like him who can buzz with Kenny Pickett, a quarterback, this could be a good spot for him. And I think he's the safest wide receiver. I think Quentin Johnston has the most upside. And Jackson Smith-Njigba is kind of in the middle. All these guys have their red flags. We don't have a Jamar Chase in this class. We don't have a top-tier wide receiver in this class. We could get some productive wide receivers. We can get some fantasy relevant wide receivers. We'll get that in just about every draft class. But this class is softer. This isn't the class where you got to go all out on the wide receivers. This isn't that deal. But you do want to pick your spots with them. You don't want to ignore them. But really, the running backs in this class is where you want to focus at. Unfortunately for this draft, we don't have any more. We don't have any more running backs to talk about. But this next group in Tier C is another tier of wide receivers. Jalen Hyatt, Josh Downs. Well, let's get him up there. And Zay Flowers. The thing about Jalen Hyatt is he blew up this season, and I love his situation going to the Chargers. If he goes to a spot like the Chargers, how many of you guys are going to bump him up in this range up here in Tier B? I had him in originally C, but when I look at this, I want to move him up here. What's the difference in having him here than in here anyways? What's the difference? Like, Herbert's slinging that rock and volume all over the place. And I know you don't want to overvalue situation, but we're seeing guys with like Josh Palmer hit on some weeks. We're seeing that in fantasy. And you know you want to have three good wide receivers lining up at all times. Mike Williams is not a clean bill of health. Keenan Allen's getting older. They're going to transition. You spent a first-round pick on Jalen Hyatt. You're going to want to use him. He's going to get some run. He's going to get a long leash. He's going to hold his value. You're going to get the Chargers premium on the draft capital. You're going to get that Justin Herbert money added to him. He's going to add value to Jalen Hyatt. So really, you can move him up anywhere around here. That's what I'm thinking about. Then you got Josh Downs to the Titans. I don't know what kind of offense you're going to be in. And wide receivers are very replaceable. You got Treylon Burks there. I do not see Josh Downs outproducing Treylon Burks, but I think he can be a good side piece. I think he definitely could be. I think Zay Flowers is better than what people are expecting. I think he's a good route runner. I think he can separate well. I think he can get downfield. I think him going to Buffalo is a sneaky spot. I think when it comes to production, I wouldn't be surprised if he's one of the most productive wide receivers in this draft if he goes to a good situation. And think about this. Since the wide receiver group this year is so soft, we're going to get some randos that people aren't touting all day long that are going to hit and that are going to come out of nowhere, because that's kind of what happens from a macro standpoint with a batch of players like that. Like, you're not going to get a bunch of shit-stained players. You're going to get some randos that really hit, that come out of nowhere, like a third-round wide receiver that nobody was pegging, like Terry McLaurin that one year when he came out for the draft. Nobody was pegging him, and then he hits when he comes out, and he's been solid ever since. We're probably going to get a couple of those guys from this year's draft. Let's go to Tier D. And you know what? It's Michael Mayer. One thing, he's sharing field with Greg Dulcich. Can't even beat him out. One, he's kind of undersized. He's a slower tight end. And you shouldn't be drafting tight ends in the first round, really, in Dynasty rookie drafts, especially in a group like this. We're solid at running back. We're solid. Super flex too, so you got the quarterback premium. And then you know what? We have a three-headed monster at wide receiver with Quentin Johnston, Jack Smith-Njigba, Jordan Addison, and we are going to get some wide receivers who get more draft capital than expected. And then on top of that, you're going to get more running backs than this. You're going to get some second-round running backs, some third-round running backs, some running backs who go into some juicy situations that you're going to want to draft. There's no way you're drafting Michael Mayer in the first round. Even if he goes in the first round, you shouldn't do it. Just draft a guy like Dalton Kincaid or something like that later. Get a guy in the third round, get a guy in the fourth round, and just play it like that. If you need a tight end, use your second-round rookie pick. Flip that for a veteran that you know that's already getting snaps and targets instead of playing around with these rookies. Also, some of these mid to late round rookie tight ends have been hitting lately. They've been doing some stuff, and you might be able to capitalize on them. Or you can just buy a cheap tight end. Really, the tight end 25 is only like 5 points away from like the tight end 8 on the week, every week in football anyway. So there's not much value here at the position. So why spend that draft capital? That's why I got him at D. You can tell I don't like him going in the first round rookie drafts at all. And it's going to stay that way. I really think it's going to be very ambiguous at the wide receiver position this year. Hammer running backs. Go hard at that. You're going to miss on some, but diversify your portfolio and just go hard and lean into where the draft's strong at. Quarterback, if your league trades well, if your league's active, and you want the equity, you want the value, then go ahead and pay up for that. But this isn't the sexiest quarterback class either. These quarterbacks got some holes to them. They're not bulletproof, but some of them may hit, and then we might get some busts as well. It could surprise us too. Very ambiguous quarterback class. And then Bijan Robinson is our saving grace for Dynasty Fantasy Football. But let me know in the comments below what you think about this class, where you got these guys ranked. Let me know. I want to hear about it. I'm still pontificating about these players, but I'll have more content like this here soon. I'll find more mock drafts, and I'll draft them. I'll mock draft them, rank them, or however you want to call it this way so you guys can get a good look. But make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. It's only going to help you going forward. I'm going to get you ready for rookie draft season in the spring, help you out with your dynasty teams and everything else. I want to thank you for watching. I'll catch you on the next video.